All right. Good evening, y'all, and welcome to the Green Room. This is our first episode on the Green Room. We're trying to something a little bit different. So just be on the lookout for these streams on Saturdays. Yeah. But our first guest for the Green Room is Mr. Havoc 21. Thank you for joining us tonight. Can you give us a little intro about yourself and let the folks know who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. I go by Havoc21 on Twitter and all the rest of the internet. I'm a former Army dude. I was in the Army for about 8 years, back in the kind of early GWAT area from the 2007, 2008 era. Was a cavalry scout for 8 years. But more recently, excuse the gunfire, I'm at the range, which is very, very on brand for me, because that's really where the last couple of years has taken me, is back into training, performance shooting, and as well as all sorts of survival stuff, tactics, small unit tactics. But yeah, a lot of performance shooting. Yeah, just kind of ended up gathering a following mostly on Twitter, and then got linked up with the Dirty Civilian guys and have been doing that ever since. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, so I think that your stuff and 30 Civilian, like, y'all put out a lot of really good stuff, really helpful. And I think even with guys like y'all putting out really good information, I just think with a lot of the volume that goes out, and a lot of it still kind of gets lost out there. And I was kind of wanting to take this from like the guy's first handgun, because that's
Mm-hmm.
probably what he's going to buy.
Yep.
Probably going to buy an AR, and he's probably going to buy a handgun. And I think it'd be safe to assume like the guy's like never shot a gun before. So how do we take a guy
Yeah.
from zero to being able to shoot effectively?
Yeah, it's a great question. So number one thing that always the most important thing, is obviously safety when it comes to firearms and handling. And the best way I can describe the familiarization piece, right, with your handgun is, you need to handle it a lot. So whether that's literally picking it up, putting it down, checking the chamber every time that you do so, making sure that it's unloaded, just that those motions, those like that builds confidence. It builds like that repetition, so that you're just constantly handling your gun. It's something that I noticed a lot of new gun owners are a little bit shy about. Is they're like, well, this is the gun. This is for the range. It's dangerous. I need to make sure that, and you do. Yeah, obviously it is a dangerous implement, but like you have to have a certain level of familiarization with it. And just in your home with an empty gun with no ammunition in the room, um, manipulating it, right? Getting used to handling it. And that's going to translate to confidence when it's time to start loading the ammo. Practicing, this is going to go straight into like dry fire, which I'm very big on. Getting used to that handling, like manipulating the slide, putting in an empty magazine and taking it back out. And then work on putting the gun up and presenting it and seeing your sights and seeing the way it's supposed to be aligned. As far as the absolute basics go, like what is sight alignment, sight fixture, all that kind of stuff, you don't really need to go to a class. Um, the internet is a great teacher. There's a lot of really good resources on YouTube, and especially like on Twitter. Like we've built a really cool little community of people that take performance shooting really seriously, and there is really not a more welcoming group of people than like the kind of the performance shooting. As soon as we find out someone's new and that they want us to get started, um, if you make that known, you'll be like inundated with people who are like trying to help. It can be a little much sometimes, but mostly, those resources are out there. They're on the internet as far as like just the basics of getting started. Um, so safety number one, and then familiarity is going to be the second thing. And from there, uh, basically learning the fundamentals of shooting, and really just focusing on with a handgun. It just focused on grip, learning what a proper grip is, what a proper grip feels like, and then your vision, which is like how you're lining up the sight with the target, where your vision is focused on the target. Okay, hold on, my audio's starting to fade here. Let's see. I'm going to turn off the video because that'll probably save some bandwidth. Let me know if it continues to be bad, and then if it gets any better.
Yeah, we'll give it a second and see if it gives it an opportunity to catch up. Sorry about that, man.
Yeah, mine just went really. My audio just went really fuzzy as well, which is interesting. Let's see if it gets.
Yeah, you sound like you're calling in from Luke's moon base right now.
All right, let's see if it cleans up at all. How are we doing? Do we want to keep talking?
Something I was wanting.
I'm gonna try.
Something I was wanting to cover too was
Yeah, we'll give them another moment. Sorry, guys. This is the joys of going live.
Yeah, so something I was wanting to cover because even in my Marine Corps experience, you would think that infantry guys get a lot of trigger time with handguns, but it really isn't the case, at least for me. Like the whole time I've been for 5 years and I've hardly ever touched handguns. And the ones we did were completely ran through and half busted. And there's just kind of a severe afterthought.
Okay, let's. Is that any better? Or is it still bad?
It's still pretty rough.
Yeah, I can hear you guys here now. I don't know what's going on. I've got full Wi-Fi. Let's try.
Yeah, so I was saying with when it came, yeah, so I was saying when it came to
Yeah, I can't hear anything you guys are saying.
yeah, so yeah, so I was going on the time I had, and really there wasn't a great education on it. And so once I got out and started messing around with pistols more on my own time, there was just so much of different things in different ways. But I found that Mike Glover was a real good resource in at least holding a pistol, how to present one, and he has a video on it. I'd have to find it, but essentially you hold your pistol like you would a hammer, and um, just the way he explained it, like my precision and accuracy went up exponentially just after that one adjustment. And so I think there's something really to be said because with pistols you're dealing with a firearm that's got I have a 4-inch barrel on my pistol that I rock most of the time. I mean, even if you got something less than 4 inches, you have a deviation. You pull left or pull right ever so slightly, and that's going to compound exponentially on your performance. So, yeah, that was probably one of the best things I picked up was just really how to hold it, so you keep a solid wrist and, you keep both your thumbs so you pretty much do like your like hammer grip with your dominant hand, and then your left hand, your thumb points and is kind of parallel with the barrel itself, and you press it in on the hand grip, and that whole thing, that whole way of holding it was fantastic. If I after the stream, I'll find it and I'll slap it in the comments or something.
Yeah.
But something else too, and my buddies preach this hard. I mean, there is a certain amount of money it takes to, like, if you really want to dump money in it, you can. It's a fire. You can just pour money into it, and never see the end of it. But they preach really hard on running a red dot. I personally haven't messed around with that because um, my pistol won't support one right now. I have to take off the rear sights and do all this other nonsense to it. But I definitely think, just based off of what some of my buddies, especially Big Rig, who we had on the other night, um, he doesn't stop talking about red dots on pistols. Said that, but he said that's a whole nother skill set, though. He said, the way you aim with a red dot is different than how you aim with, iron sights. It is quicker, but it is different. So it's something you gotta get used to. So when it comes to all that, you got to get used to pretty much what Havoc was saying. You got to get familiar with it. And
Can you
where
guys hear
I,
me now? Sorry.
yeah, I hear you
Yeah,
now.
we can. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. It's still a little poppy for me, but like it's coming through a lot better. I had to leave a couple times and come back, and it fixed itself. So
Okay.
No, you're
Yeah,
all
so,
good. You're all good. This is the joys of doing it live.
yeah, absolutely. I heard what you were saying though about like red dots, irons, and like it is. So it's interesting. There's definitely some great resources out there as far as like videos on the internet. I mentioned Mike Glover's. Ben Stager's another really good one. A lot of people don't jive with his personality. He's a little abrasive at times, but he's very good at explaining grip and vision. And even there's actually, and I didn't know this because I don't really shoot irons very often anymore. There's a lot of similar. There are some differences. But like the way that you visually process irons and visually process a dot is actually very similar. Once it's just a kind of a different way of looking at it, because it's mainly like a target focused method where you're looking at the target, superimpose the irons on top of the target, and like you're confirming the equal height equal light type thing, but it's just done at a much faster pace. There's a lot of really interesting stuff out there when you get into like the performance shooting aspect of things. um but yeah, that's sorry, I don't know how much you guys got of the what I was talking about with just kind of the progression of going from shooting like safety and familiarization to getting into like actual like performance shooting. um but
yeah. I
going
mean,
to yeah, I don't know how much you got there.
oh yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, we caught most of it. It was kind of sound like Darth Vader was talking, but
Yeah, and then
um,
once you guys started talking, I was like, wait, is that what I sound like? And then I was like, oh no, it's not good.
yeah. So I mean, we caught just about most of it. I was just wanting to reemphasize the point on grip because that had a profound impact on me.
Oh
Because
yeah.
like I didn't have a ton of experience with pistols, but just changing my grip, like to what Mike Glover said, like was night and day. Like I was two different shooters just after changing my grip. You know.
Yeah, no, that's we were just so the people we're out here with today, there's all different skill levels, out here at the range with us today. And like grip is like it's funny because like when I try to explain grip to people, it's like you need to grip the gun harder than you probably are. Like the especially with your support hand, it's basically like you're not like like shaking hard gripping, but like it's almost and if you can proper, like we had some guys out here doing some drills, and they were cutting, like once we kind of worked with their grip a bit, the drill would be like 3.5 seconds, and then we fix their grip, and then it's like 2.5 seconds. Like, it's like a massive improvement. When you just it's one of the key things, right? Grip and vision. That's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day. And trigger press, especially with a pistol, there's no wrong way to shoot. Some people like to really focus in on trigger press and like pressing really smoothly and like not throwing their shot off. But with a really strong visual focus on the target and a really strong grip, you can get away with like a lot of trigger slop, because your grip is holding the gun steady. And so a lot of the really high end performance guys, they're just kind of like, yeah, I just kind of smash through it. Like, I just kind of not just slapping it around, but like it's not like a careful press. Like, it's just kind of
Well,
okay.
yeah, I mean,
They're getting after
at
it
a
back
certain
there. Sorry.
point, yeah, I mean, at a certain point when you're going so fast, like you don't have the time to pull the trigger super
No.
consistent and then feel the reset and everything else. Like there just isn't the time if you're going super fast. And also, like, I think a lot of people kind of get their wires crossed. Shooting a pistol isn't the same as shooting a long gun.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the fundamentals are different, and the entire application of itself is different. You're not setting into a position. You're not so worried about all those different things. You're more
Yeah.
so thinking about like this guy's trying to stab me, and I gotta, he's within 7 yards, so he has the advantage right now, and I got to be quick and get on top of him. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's one of those things that, like, my advice to people when they're trying to improve and get better, there's really no better arena that the average civilian has access to, than competitive shooting when it comes to like pushing their performance. There are people do get hung up on the gamification of competitive shooting. Like, there are, like, yes, there are gamey parts of it, but there's so much to learn that it is well worth putting up with, like, whatever rule you might think is a little goofy or something like that. As far as performance on demand, you get one shot, no reshoots. The buzzer's going to beep, and you've got to be as fast and as accurate as you can be. I always really encourage people to try to look up, eh, to find stuff in your area. Like, you go to, it's called Practice Score, practicescore.com. It has all the local matches hosted there, where you can sign up for them, and you go there, find matches in your area. It like gives you like a map and puts little dots where all the matches are, so you can see how far they are from you. Um, and yeah, you can go there, usually sign up for a match, and then like, just go to one, see. And like, a lot of times you can go to one without shooting. You don't have to pay. You just show up and watch if you want to see what it's like. But it's a great way to test your performance against your peers. You'll get placed in a division based on what kind of gun you have and how it's set up. If you have a comp or a magwell or something like that, it might put you in a different division. But you're facing off against your peers who have similar equipment, um, and it's a wake up call. I don't think I know a single person who's gone to their first match and not been like, oh wow, like, uh, that's crazy. I didn't realize, I did that stage in 15 seconds, and the next guy did it in 8. It's like, oh, like, I've got some stuff I could work on. Um, Really, really great arena just for your average civilian. You don't have to have access to any fancy range. You don't have to be a law enforcement guy or a military guy. Anyone can do it. So it's a great
Well, and
avenue.
that's something. Yeah, I mean, that's something I found too was um, there's a lot of ego with veteran dudes,
Hmm.
and
Oh
there's
yeah.
civilian guys who will absolutely mop the floor with, I would say, 95% of the veteran community,
Oh
just because like
yeah.
they can put in actual like quality training and getting in. Whereas with the military, it's
Hmm.
like shooting is one skill you have, and you give it some attention, and you have to cover down on all these other skills. These guys have literally just honed in on shooting, and it is
Yep.
ridiculous how good they can be. And it's just like some random dude,
Yeah.
like one of the scariest shooters I ever met was some surfer from California, and I would have
Yeah.
never guessed that this guy was just a laser all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, it's a joke in the kind of like the if you want to have like a really solid guess on if someone's gonna shoot good or bad. It's like if they tell you like, oh no, dude, I'm a veteran, I learned how to shoot in the Army, you're like, all right, this is gonna be
Yeah,
great. This is gonna go really well.
yeah,
Because yeah, absolutely. Like the military, like coming from the military and coming from a combat arms job, right? Like so I would have thought that like I was like, I'm pretty good. I was a Cav Scout and I deployed twice and blah blah blah. Like there is like in the military, there are so many like shooting is such a small like anyone who's been in knows that like you go to the range like once a month, like twice, maybe, like if you're on a spin up for a deployment, maybe a couple more times than that. But like it's pretty static. It's pretty like really basic. They're trying to get a unit of 200 dudes to qualify or whatever. It's not really good on demand performance shooting. And yeah, these civilian shooters, it's like what they've honed in on. And like veterans and like guys who have experience in the military, they have a lot to offer on in other areas. In like all the other training I've done, like I'm a big fan of the Direct Action Resource Center. I try to go there a couple times a year to train. And that training is more, full spectrum, like you're doing everything from shooting a gun to purifying water to setting up a patrol base to doing patrols and setting up OPs. Like military dudes have a ton to offer when it comes to like if take a civilian USPSA grandmaster and tell him to set up a patrol base, like he's gonna be like, what? Like I don't no comprehend. Like what do you mean? So like yeah, I always like military dudes overestimate their shooting capabilities, but they have a lot of other stuff they can offer, and it's just about you're absolutely right. Like the ego gets in the way a lot with my fellow veterans. Um, and it's something you got to like. I'm out here today for this is a perfect example. Actually, today, this guy his name's Nutty Maxwell on Twitter, and he's 20. He started competitive shooting back in January, and it's sorry, it's super loud. He is now a grandmaster in USPSA, which means he is in the top 5% of USPSA shooters nationwide. So he's coming out here, and it would be very easy for me as a 36-year-old veteran, competitive shooter myself, not a grandmaster, to like not want to take instruction, right? Like to not be like, yeah, like this young kid, like, blah, 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 blah. But like, dude, he knows this better than I do. So it would behoove me to listen to what he says and, just kind of check that ego at the door.
yeah. Um, yeah, that's an easy pitfall for a lot of people, and I think you see it. I mean, I've been on Twitter very long, but the little bit I've spent on Twitter, like I see it a lot with a lot of the gun community there, where there's so much of manhood and definition wrapped up in owning a gun and the gun you have and the
Yeah.
way you employ it. And, it's when you're defining yourself by a tool, because that's what a firearm is, it's a tool. Like it's one thing to do a job. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
defining yourself by something that's as simple as that, you're going to be disappointed a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And there's something I was wanting to touch in on that because I've seen a lot of debate about it. Is like concealed carry. That's primarily what I imagine when people buy a pistol. It's kind of what they have in mind. I really
Yeah.
hope someone's not thinking of a pistol as a primary weapon that they're gonna like carry when things really go
I hope
sideways.
not.
Like I really hope that they're not in that frame of mind. But um, so it's usually like a concealed carry sort of thing, and um, I guess I'll start with like my 2 cents on it is you need to have like the idea of like what kind of engagement you're getting into, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you kind of approach someone who's going to be carrying a pistol for concealed carry? Like talk to them about the engagement, like really like nuts and bolts. Like this is about how many rounds you should have. This is the kind of distance you should be thinking about. This is the kind of thought time you should be having. Those sorts of things.
Yeah. Yeah. So with concealed carry, the like shooting like a Mark 18 back there, unsuppressed, which is very, very impolite. No, with concealed carry, the thing that's it's like all right, man, get a suppressor, come on. Just think about the rest of us. No, the thing with concealed carry, right, is like I like to dissuade people of notions of using their concealed carry. People get hero fantasies, where they're like, oh, I'm gonna run into the mall. There's a shooting, and I'm gonna run in, and I need to be able to, do blah 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 with my pistol and this, that, and the other. And it's like, man, you really need to focus your training, your mindset around a defensive scenario. Pistols are terrible at as many people as get killed by pistols. They're not very good tools for killing people. They lack a lot of ballistic oomph. Even with like some really spicy self-defense rounds, etc. Like, yes, like they account for the majority of killings because they're the easiest thing to carry, and therefore they are available most often. But yeah, they're not great offensive tools. So like the draw, I think getting your gun out reliably and in a reasonable amount of time is the most important. And I would say like a reasonable draw from concealment is going to be like a second and a half. We try to strive, like, when you're really training and really getting there, like, you can definitely get sub 1 second draws. I don't think that's super necessary unless it's like really just kind of interesting to you. Like some people just get like a little obsessed. It's just like, hey, like I'm gonna dry fire my draw until no end. And like you can get really crazy times. My friend Emily, she carries appendix, and she's got like a .7 draw like from concealment to first shot at like 7 yards. I'm like, that's wild. But she also practices it constantly. So getting the gun out, getting it on target in a reasonable amount of time is where I think your training needs to be focused. And then like range wise, I'd say like 0 to 25 yards is going to cover, I mean, like probably 95% of engagements that you're going to get into with a concealed carry gun. Because again, it's defensive use. Most likely someone is attacking you, or if you're going to, depending on your local laws, if you're defending a third party, etc. Like, those are going to be the distances that you need to be able to engage in. And then, once you've got the draw and, first shots on target down, then start working on like most, pistol engagements take a couple rounds. Usually there's at least, 3 to 4 fired. So at that point, it's understanding how to control recoil and, tracking your target. So, those are kind of the things that I advise people when they're getting concealed carry is like, you got to get comfortable carrying the gun and drawing it. And that takes some experimentation, honestly. I mean, I'm in concealed carrying for like, I don't know, 15 years, somewhere there, I don't know, somewhere around there. And like, I'm still messing around with like holsters and belts and like trying to find like a better, a great solution, or a better solution, or maybe I'm just bored. I don't know. But yeah, no, it takes some messing around with, but like getting a good solid belt set up, get a belt that's meant for concealed carry. They do have to bear the weight of the gun, and remain somewhat rigid. So like I see a lot of people really struggle when they try to take like either their typical leather belt and dress belt or whatever and stick a gun in there, and they're like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. And the gun sticks out a lot and it prints a lot, and it's like, yeah, well, you probably need like a better belt that's actually kind of meant for this. But yeah, that's kind of my initial first thoughts on someone getting into concealed carry.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts
I'll
on? Oh, go ahead, Cass.
I'll say from a civilian side, the belt was the hardest part, and also getting comfortable with one in the chamber. That took forever. Honestly, for me
Yeah.
to get used to, because I appendix carry. So,
Yep. Same. Yeah. It's a little dicey, huh? It's a little nerve wracking.
yeah.
Well, if
Yeah.
you have a kid, you
What
might not
advice?
want to do that anyways. I mean,
Yeah.
SIGs.
What advice can you give guys that have those apprehensions, that may be new?
Yeah, so it's really like it comes down to like just exposure, kind of exposure therapy to it is like you just have to do it. Like the understand like it sometimes it can help to like really research the gun that you have, and be like, how does this gun work? How does the safety work? Like or like a Glock, right? That doesn't have a manual safety, but it's got all of the other safeties, right? The trigger safety and the this and that. If you've got a good holster that's made out of Kydex or plastic or something that's protecting the trigger guard, and you can know for a fact that if that gun is in that holster and there is nothing else in the holster, that there is nothing that's going to push that trigger to the rear, and that's the only way for the gun to fire is for that trigger to be pulled to the rear. Sometimes just understanding that knowledge can kind of bring some some comfort to the situation. The other thing you can try doing to become this is something I did with my mom, was she was kind of nervous about that, and she was going to carry on her hip anyways, but I had her carry around the house, like not actually out even in public, but just around the house, round loaded in the chamber on like an outside the waistband holster. It was just like you have a loaded gun, like getting used to that. Like I have a loaded gun on me, but if it goes off, like it's probably just going to go into the floor. um, and that way, less worried about it. And then it was like, okay, cool. Now put it in your inside the waistband holster and carry it around the house. And that kind of just built that confidence in a setting that she's comfortable in, right? So you're not like everyone has that, and I don't think there's any way around it, is that feeling the first time you carry a gun in public, you're just like, everybody knows I have a gun. Like everyone knows I have a gun in my pants right now. And then but in reality, like, dude, nobody knows. And like, I had a funny story the other day. It was like a couple months ago. I was at my buddy's house. It was last summer. Time flies. Anyways, I was helping him build a chicken coop. And so we were doing yard work. So I had like an outside the waistband, open carry style holster because it was more comfortable for like working on a chicken coop. And we needed something from the store, of course. So like I was like, whatever. I didn't bring another holster. You can open carry in the state. Not really my preferred way of carrying, but like whatever. And we get into the store and like the Home Depot or whatever. We're walking around there for like 10 minutes. And my buddy, he's a veteran Army dude, like been there, done that somewhat. Uh, like 10 minutes into being in the store, he's like, "Oh, dude, you're carrying your gun." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, like it's like outside my t-shirt. It's right there." And he didn't notice. And I was just like, "Yeah, people don't like like your average dude is like probably not going to notice. He's definitely not going to notice it under your shirt. Like and like the people who do notice it under your shirt are like other concealed carry guys, like or cops maybe. Yeah, so but it is that mental hurdle, right, of going into public the first time with a gun. It's going to be a little weird. And you just kind of got to do it and just kind of get over it. And eventually it turns into the other way where if you can't carry your gun, you feel weird. And you're like, oh no, I don't have my gun on me. This feels very odd.
Yeah, no, I agree. I honestly never looked until I got interested into actually concealed carrying and went to my first class. Like I grew up around guns. Like I mostly shot shotguns like as a kid and as a teen. Like my grandparents had farms and stuff, so I just kind of that was just kind of the way it was, but pistols itself just wasn't something that I considered until I got a little bit older, and it wasn't until I got interested in that and went to the concealed carry course, and the guy that did the course, he was just like, "Do you guys think I have a gun?" And then he proceeds to like pull out 10 different guns.
Yeah.
And then I started like thinking, I was like, man, I have probably been around guns more than what I realized, and I just didn't even look. And so I don't think that the average person is looking around for a gun. And if they do see something sticking out, they just think that you got some kind of crazy belt buckle. Really depends on where you live.
Right. Yeah, you got like a colonoscopy bag and they don't want to ask about it. Like,
Yeah.
like what is under that guy's shirt? Like, oh, might be embarrassing. I'm not gonna ask. I had this situation at work where like my work is like it's pretty like, like my old job was like a gun, not like a place you're supposed to carry it. It's like a probably against work policy or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna carry anyways. Like I'm not I'm not like sorry about your work policy or whatever. And I got to, one of my coworkers I became good friends with, and she was like, it was one day we were off, it was not at work, and I had like went to go like take my gun off, and she's like, "Oh, you carry a gun?" And I was like, "You have never once interacted with me when I was unarmed. Like I've carried a gun every day we've ever talked." Like, and she's like, "Oh, I had no idea." And I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of the idea, is that you didn't know." um, yeah, people don't really pay attention. God, I mean, you see how people like walk into signs on the street because they're not paying attention. Like their head's in their phone. So yeah, you probably have some confidence that they're not looking at your belt line and being like, "That's a Glock." But yeah,
What's your opinion?
it comes down to comfort and stuff.
I just wanted to get your opinion. I'm a fanny pack guy because due
Oh
to
yeah,
my nature work, there's about half the places I go, I by law cannot carry a gun there. So I gotta leave it in the truck often.
yeah,
So fanny packs the quickest way for me to get on and off, sort of thing. What's your
yeah,
opinion on that?
yeah,
Because I mean, it's fanny pack stands out. Like it's pretty.
yeah. It does. They do stand out a little bit, but they are becoming like they are definitely a lot more common. Like I know, I mean, like so I'm in Nashville area, and like I go downtown in Nashville or any of the parks or whatever, and there's a lot of people with fanny packs. Like they're kind of luckily making a bit of a resurgence. So like it doesn't look too out of place, and it's one of those things. As long as you've trained how to get that gun out of there in a reasonable amount of time, like it's a perfectly viable way to carry. And yeah, if that's what works and that's what's like best. Absolutely. I carry in a either a fanny pack or I have these little chest packs made by a company called Hill People Gear. It just kind of it's almost sits like where a chest rig would sit on your chest, but it's a little bit higher up. What it's meant for is like when you have a ruck on or a backpacking backpack. And it just kind of puts stuff right here in your chest. A lot of people use them for like binoculars. You'll see like bird watchers use them. So if I'm off like in a state park or trail or something, I usually will carry in there if I have a rucksack on, if I'm doing a hike or something like that. Um, and again, it just comes down to like, have I practiced drawing this gun out of this thing? Um, can you do it safely? Can you do it quickly? And it's yeah, perfectly. There's absolutely no. I pocket carried for the longest time too. I had a job where I had to wear a polo shirt. The uniform was like a polo shirt tucked in, which is kind of difficult to carry. You can do it. They have tuckable holsters and stuff, but it was just at the time I was living in Florida too. It was like 1,000 degrees every day, so it was like pretty uncomfortable. So I got a little, single stack Glock and put it in my pocket in a pocket holster, because that was kind of the best way to do it. I mean, the thing about concealed carry, the most important thing about it is that you have it with you, and that it's like if you have to carry it in a way that is not like the most the most optimal, the fastest draw, the whatever. Like it is way more important that it's with you than you have a sub-second draw. And that needs to be comfortable. It needs to be something that you're willing to carry every day.
Now, going into dry firing, because I imagine a lot of guys don't have a lot of time or access or
Hmm.
range to get to as often as they should be.
Yes.
So, what's your prescription for dry firing?
Yeah, absolutely. So dry fire is absolutely essential to becoming more proficient with a firearm and ramping up your performance. You can I'm gonna bring up Maxwell again here. The guy who's here. He went from like unclassified to grandmaster. I think he had 12 range sessions and 8 matches. So 12 live fire sessions and 8 matches, I believe. Maybe a couple more dry fire live fire sessions than that. But 99% of his training was in dry fire. What people get wrong about dry fire most often is it's like I'm gonna like point my gun at the TV and click on the characters or kind of absent-mindedly, whatever. Dry fire for it to be effective needs to be intentional, And like you need to be very focused on it. And most people really actually can't get productive dry fire past like 15 minutes. So it doesn't take a lot of time. It's kind of like one of those things, like it takes less time than working out, less time than most things. So about what I recommend is like people try to find 15 minutes every day to dry fire. The best way I can help people kind of get into it is honestly to suggest like a dry fire program. There's a couple of really good books. Ben Steger has a couple. They're like $15 on Amazon. And it'll like walk you through kind of a progression. So about of what like, I recommend is like started.
Sorry about that. That was
Oh, you there?
that was a technical glitch.
Sorry. Okay, was that me?
No, sorry. Sorry.
I was like, I've cloned myself.
My bad.
Yeah. So there's a couple of really good dry fire programs on in book format, and there's a couple on YouTube as well. But the main thing is that it's very intentional. You're like drawing your gun and like looking at the site and being like self-critical, right? Was the dot where I wanted it to be? Does my grip feel like it's supposed to feel? When I move from one target to the other, does the dot like or the irons wildly swing past the target and then come back, or do they just land on that target? So it's like 15 minutes of very intentional, very focused practice, in which you're giving, the only feedback you have is yourself, and you have to be very honest with yourself. Getting a shot timer is super helpful, and you don't actually need a shot timer for dry fire. There are timer apps on the App Store that'll give you like, hey, I want to give myself 1.5 seconds, and it'll give you a beep, and then 1.5 seconds later, another beep, and it's like, did you get the gun out in that time? Yes or no? Like, cool, I'm a little bit slow. Try to go a little bit quicker. So like dry fire is extremely important. Costs no money. It doesn't you if you have you can use like tape on a wall for targets. You can buy little mini dry fire targets as well that simulate some distance. But it is the number one thing I recommend to people. If they're trying to improve, it takes no live ammo. The only thing that you cannot practice in dry fire, there's one thing you can't practice, and that is like the gun going off. And I hesitate to even call it recoil control because it's really not. But it's really just grip. So you do have to live fire occasionally just to validate that you're gripping the gun correctly, because the dot will or the irons will return predictably if you are gripping the gun correctly. So you have to do some stuff in live fire just to validate your dry fire. But all of my gains, all of my progress, if I'm doing a drill or whatever, like the increases in performance and time and accuracy basically all come from dry fire.
That's really good. I mean, I know that's something I lack severely is dry firing. It's
Yeah,
it's easy to get wrapped up and just not think about it.
it is. It's like you have to be, you have to like, I literally have it on I have to schedule it in my day. Like as much as I'm into all this, I'll get wrapped up in the day and like, it'll be like 9 PM and I'm like, oh, I didn't dry fire today. Now I'm tired.
Yeah,
you have to be very intentional.
I have the luxury of working from home, and so I will take some time during a slower time or during like one of my breaks, and I'll do it because I know Slack can understand this. It's definitely harder when your kids are around. So yeah, just trying to find a few minutes a day can be tough for some people. But yeah, I think a routine and a schedule, just like anything else, like working out, reading, whatever it may be, you almost have to schedule a good portion of your day and just try to fit that in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just comes. Yeah, it's intentionality and some discipline, right? Just like with anything else.
Yeah, I guess. I guess wrapping up here because we're about hitting that hour mark in a minute.
Yeah.
I think a good thing maybe to cover would be if someone's thinking about purchasing a handgun, or if they already have
Mm-hmm.
one and they're not satisfied with it. a couple recommendations, and then because I know I have my own biases here, but I kind of want to hear from the expert what you'd recommend for like a handgun, because I know we're in the golden age of handguns right now, and then kind of like the caliber choice too.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely dive into that a little bit. You know, at the end of the day, with any piece of equipment, whether it's a gun or anything else, the question is always, what is your purpose for it? What is the intent behind it? If you're buying a handgun and you want it to be like, this is going to be a concealed carry handgun, or this is going to be like for home defense, like that can sway things. The really safe bet for most people is like a Glock 19, because it's pretty mid-sized. It's not terribly hard to conceal. Where people get into trouble a lot is trying to buy a very small gun to conceal carry. Very small guns really suck to shoot. They're not fun to hold on to, and they are just like, you'll find yourself not wanting to shoot it in live fire because you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. And the sights are usually real small and nubby if they're irons. They just, it can be a bit of a pain. And at the end of the day, like I said, like the most important thing with your concealed carry gun is that you carry it. So like, if you know that you're not going to be willing to really change your wardrobe to dress kind of around the gun a little bit, then that might be a viable option. Just knowing that, but just know that like a smaller handgun, a single stack, like little Glock or something, isn't going to be the most fun gun to shoot. You know, I'm very boring. Like I like Glock handguns. I have like 5 of them, in all different sizes. But you know, as far as like recommendations go that way, like the most important thing is that it's a gun that you're willing to shoot, and a gun that if you're going to carry it, a gun that you're willing to carry. Um, you know, as far as caliber goes, again, pretty boring. 9mm is kind of my caliber. It's the only caliber pistol I even own now. Oh no, I take that back. I have like a 45. It's like a commemorative 45 from like one of my deployments or something. But like, I don't ever shoot it. But yeah, like all pistol rounds, pretty much all of them, kind of suck at doing ballistic things. And whether the bullet is 9mm or 40 caliber or 45, like all of them not that great, at actually putting things down. So at the end of the day, shot placement is king. You know, if you put a 32 ACP in someone's face, they're gonna have a bad day. So shot placement is kind of king. I recommend 9mm for just about everybody for everything. Maybe if you're like worried about bears, get like a 10mm or like get something a little spicier. But you know, for the vast majority of people, 9mm, because it's a manageable round. The recoil isn't terrible. It's cheap. That's another thing that's like, important, is that you need to be able to afford ammo for it. And 9mm is very plentiful, and not that expensive when it comes to pistol rounds.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. I'm not a Glock guy. I'm a Smith and Wesson guy myself, just because I like their,
I can respect it.
you know, their stippling. I don't have to go and send it off to get it stippled. Their stippling is just super aggressive, and I got sweaty hands.
Yeah, I have to stipple all my Glocks. Like I get a little bit I get a little artistic with the heat gun and the wood burning kit, and I usually end up stippling my Glocks because yeah, they are a little bit bar of soapish, some from the factory.
Yeah. Um, you know, I
I actually want to touch on that because like that segues with, I get a ton of questions on Twitter about ARs. That's kind of usually the next thing,
yeah,
right? Is like people get their concealed carry gun and then they get their first AR. And they're like, well, what barrel length do I get? And what optics do I get? And like, what, stuff should I put on it? And there's no shortage of stuff out there to buy. And it's very confusing. What I always tell people, again, it goes back to, what is the purpose of this gun? Is this a gun that you're using for home defense? Is this a gun that you are looking to have in case, the use of the Second Amendment, right? Like, is this a fighting gun? Is this something that you want to pull double duty as a hunting gun and a self-defense gun? Those are all going to influence the decisions that you make around the AR that you get. What I will give is like really general advice to people is you get what you pay for. A lot of the times, when it comes to AR brands and optics and everything else, if it's really inexpensive, there's always a reason that it is. So I'm not saying you have to go out and spend $2,000 on an AR and you have to, go drop your kids' college fund on optics. But like it's at a certain level, like the kind of generic thing I recommend is like a BCM AR-15. I think they come in $600-700 when they're on a decent sale. And then, a good quality red dot optic and a magnifier is going to get you from 0 to 300 to 400 yards pretty comfortably. And then make sure you have a light on it and a sling. And then that's kind of my basic recommendation on that front. But again, it's like, what is the purpose behind this build, and let that inform your decisions.
Yeah.
If you don't have night vision and you're not running a laser, then don't worry about the handguard being like a super rigid retention zero, holding zero, whatever. If you're not like, that's not your use case, right?
Yeah. And something else I want to stomp out while we got you here is barrel length. When you're shooting 5.56 or 2.23, because
Mm-hmm.
the whole selling point of 5.56 is the velocity that it has. Like that's what
Right.
does the damage. It's a spicy tic tac, but you get those
Yep.
secondary terminal ballistics, and that's what's really the selling point behind it. And I've run into more guys than not over like at the range I go to who have absurdly short barrels. Like the shortest one I've ever seen, I think, was like a 7 or 8 inch,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
that's you aren't. I mean, props
Uh,
for making that thing yourself, but man, you're really not doing much. Yeah,
yeah, that's you're yeah, 7 8 inch is not really great. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like 5.56 is velocity dependent. Especially if you're shooting like 55 grain, full metal jacket type. That you're gonna need some barrel length on there to get some good ballistics. What I will say is like going down to like an 11.5, 12.5, etc. You can do that, but what you have to balance that with a heavier bullet, to push out some of those ballistic benefits, right? So like if you're running an 11.5, you should probably be running 77 grains, so that you're getting less velocity, but you have more weight, which is going to balance the scales a little bit. But again, it goes back down to the purpose of the build and the engagement range that you're designing that gun, you're intending that gun for. 11.5's got a lot of popularity because of the GWAT and special forces and such, because their mission was raids. They were kicking in doors. They were shooting dudes across the living room. They weren't shooting dudes, 600 meters away, and they gained a lot of popularity for that. And because they're obviously a lot more maneuverable inside too. But again, it goes to your use case and like what is the engagement range that you want to be capable at. If you want to be capable out to 5 or 600, then yeah, you probably need like a 16-inch barrel, or a 14.5 at minimum. Because you're going to lose too much velocity, for it to really be effective. Now that being said, like I'm not gonna volunteer to stand down range of a 11.5 shooting at 600. I wouldn't want to get hit by it, but you're absolutely right. You're gonna get very reduced terminal ballistics, out of that kind of setup. So balance that, right? Like if this is like, hey, this is my home defense rifle. I'm just buying it because I need to protect my house. Like, sure, dude, get an 11.5 because at 15 yards, it's not gonna matter. But if it's like, hey, I want to be able to take this out, then yeah, you're absolutely going to want a longer barrel.
yeah. And I think a lot of guys, much like you said with the concealed carry of the hero complex, I think their
Mm-hmm.
home defense, it might even be more so with that. You guys kind of
Yeah.
fetishize it and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get them. But I think I don't know if anyone's ever walked around their house with the lights out and just running a flashlight on their defense gun, and have tried to actually, like, do they have their furniture memorized? Do they have do they have it figured out where the blind spots are in their house? You know,
Yeah.
or have they timed it how quick someone could kick in their door and like run to get to the bedroom, sort of thing? So you have an idea how much time you have if they're running to the dark. And I think there's, because I was never a super fancy dude. Like, I was never one of them special boys. And one man room clearing absolutely terrifies me. And I think,
Oh, dude.
like,
Yeah.
I think guys need to take a second and try it for a night and just see how easy they could actually get dropped if people are really trying to get them in their house. You know,
Yeah, that's takes me back to something Rich Mason, the guy who runs Darcy. His little saying is that single man CQB is suicide with more
yeah,
steps. Um, and yeah, it's essentially what it is, because like every corner you turn, every door you enter is a 50-50 chance if you're going to look the right way. And like we even break it down further to saying like two-man CQB is suicide, but you get to die with one of your
yeah,
buddies. Because it's just about as terrible. What people need to do, I think this is a smart thing to do, is like do dry runs in their home. Like maybe wait until like the kids are asleep or not there or something. Maybe like let your wife know what you're doing so you don't freak her out. But yeah, turn all the lights off with a flashlight on your gun and see what it's like. And what I recommend people do, and maybe this takes moving some bedrooms around or where people sleep or whatnot, is like unless you have kids who are the other part of the house or something like that, there is no reason to go get in a gunfight in your house. There's nothing in your house worth dying over possession wise.
correct.
Like finding out where kind of you need to strong point.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you guys all have your bedrooms in a hallway and you can hold the entrance of that hallway from your bedroom at the end, that's probably what you should do. You should probably do that until the cops come. And if they come down that hallway, you can smoke them. But like going hunting in your house for bad guys unnecessarily, if it's not protecting the lives of your kids or your wife or whatever, yeah, it's just a really, really terrible idea. Like coming from someone who has trained CQB and has done all that stuff, I live alone. I got two dogs. So I'm not going nowhere. I've got a little 300 blackout gun in my bedroom, and I'm holding that front door until the cops show up, or that bedroom door. Like, and they can come through there if they want, but like, I'm not gonna go out and save my TV. Like, I'll buy another TV. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got a AK that
Yeah, there you go.
and like I figured out the strong point, and that's all I'm going to do is hold my strong point. Is it just
Yep.
the math? I've tried it, and the math doesn't math. Like, I'm going to get dropped.
No, it is not.
I'm going to get dropped
No,
because
yeah,
also
yeah,
something about
exactly.
too is like home invasions. If you pull up the crime stats on it, it's usually like a number of people. It's not just one lone dude.
Right.
And if they're coming in at night with your vehicles parked outside, they probably have some type of ill intent. So you're probably facing
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
guys who want
exactly.
to hurt you, and so or
Yeah.
they're okay with hurting you. And I mean, you're really breaking that golden like 3-to-1 rule like right out of the gate, because it's usually like 4 to 6 dudes breaking into your house, and it's just you alone and afraid.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really bad situation. It's definitely a reality check of it is in order. A lot of people do fetishize it and think that it's going to be like this. I'm going to turn the lights off and I'm going to crank the music and we're about to go hunting in my house. And it's like, no, dude, like you're going to get smoked in the back when you turn the wrong way in your
Yeah.
kitchen.
Or they're just gonna suppress you. Like they're probably all passing
They're
Vegas.
just gonna swing bullets at you, and then you got American houses are not ballistic. Now they're shooting into your house, and if you have family and you have kids and stuff, it's going in their bedroom walls.
Yeah.
Like it's really best to really think about that from a realistic perspective, and not think that gonna do anything super cool because it's not.
Yeah, Grantham had a pretty neat old video on that, showing how many sheets of sheetrock it took to stop a bullet.
Yeah.
It was like 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
going
gonna
all the way through.
it's gonna go in your neighbor's house.
Stopping your neighbor's house somewhere. But anywho, we hit our hour mark.
Anywho,
So Kev, you got anything else?
Yeah.
no, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Really awesome having you on. Yeah. Do you have anything that you would like to promote or anything before we head out for the night?
Yeah, just you guys could follow me on Twitter. It's Havoc21. It's all spelled out like Havoc and then TWOONE. There. I do work on the Dirty Civilian YouTube channel. So you guys can always go subscribe to that as well. Helps me and the boys out. But yeah, no, that's it, man. Be more than happy to come back some other time if you guys want to have another conversation.
Oh yeah, totally. And we have most of your links in the chat. In the description. So I'll go back and I'll add the YouTube channel as well. So people watching this later can check that out. But yeah, I think that's all we've got for tonight. And Slack, do you have anything?
No, that's it. I mean, Havoc, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate you taking the time to educate some of us here. And I can't speak highly of you enough for everything you put out there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, thank you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you again, man. And we'll definitely have you back on in the future. Yeah. So that's pretty much the wrap for this first episode. Be on the lookout for more episodes. I think that we're going to try to have these weekly or every couple of weeks or so. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you.